Welcome back to the Prosperity Playbook. You've got Britt, Renee, and Courtney here. We are three amazing friends who want to share life lessons with you and things that we have had to learn the hard way. And 'tis the season, so we're going to talk to you today about holidays, a little holiday survival guide. Because I feel like as kids, it's just magical and fun because you get to just show up and all the things happen. And then all of a sudden, when you get into adulthood, there's travel and family expectations and emotional landmines and group texts and spreadsheets and all the things. So
And currently political drama.
exactly. So we kind of just want to acknowledge the pressure first of all, and how we have managed the holidays ourselves.
Perfect. Yeah, I think when we started talking about this, I instantly thought about all the Friends episodes of the Thanksgivings, and like the one year Monica had to make like 6 different kinds of potatoes because everybody had a different kind of mashed potatoes that they liked, with lumps, without lumps, all the things. And so I think that's always where my brain goes. I love the prep of the holidays. I love to make food for people, and I get really excited about having 47,000 things. And like, I practically need somebody to rein me back in. So I'll like write out my list and this is all the stuff. And then I'll let my family be like, okay, cross off what we don't actually need.
That's a good idea.
And then I usually add part of it back in anyway.
I did my shopping yesterday trying to beat the rush,
Nice.
but I think a lot of people are in there, especially over 50.
My family has always done, we have like the same handful of recipes that we do every
Yeah.
year that, you look forward to every year. And I actually asked my mom if we can do none of them this year and just like totally change up the routine. So I think we're going to cook like non-Thanksgiving foods this year, which is going to be weird, but
We did that last year.
we need a shake up. Yeah, I think, like my family has had some trauma with my relationship with my little brother, and there's just kind of some emotional baggage that we have right now. And so I'm like, we need a shake up, do something totally different, create some new memories and new routines, and I think it'll be good.
I came home with the turkey yesterday, and my husband goes, "So we are doing this?" He was not excited. Last year was prime rib.
Yeah.
We do a lot of prime rib in my family. We usually go to Arizona these days and spend it with my dad. And so it's usually just my husband, my daughter, and I, and my dad. So for the 4 of us, like, you're not going to do a whole turkey. You're not going to do a whole prime rib. So we usually either do a ham or something like that. Last year, I got super sick and was throwing up the entire time, and my family went to Red Lobster and had like the worst meal of their lives. So anyway, that was the only thing that was open in Surprise,
I was going to
Arizona.
say, of all of the places to go.
So they appreciated you every
I
other
guess.
year.
Yeah, I guess. So we'll see. But we do like to do prime rib a lot at Christmas. I think that tradition started because Josh's grandpa always swore that turkey didn't agree with him. And both of us grew up on cattle ranches. So it's just kind of a thing. Like, you just want to eat beef. But Josh's mom is much better at cooking that than I am.
I love the nostalgia of holidays. But last year we did just have to change it up. And this year, for some reason, I wanted the turkey back. I don't know why. I haven't figured it out, but just craving it.
Yeah.
I feel like it's the only time of year we ever cook a turkey. It's not like I'm just going to be like, we're having turkey for dinner this week, guys, because it's,
It is
it's
interesting
a
'cause I
24-hour
feel
brine.
like a lot of the foods that you eat at Thanksgiving like aren't even that good. Like, it's not something that you would eat normally, but the nostalgia of it makes you crave it. You know?
Which
good
one do
point.
you hate?
I don't think I hate any of them, to be
No,
completely
I wouldn't make
honest.
it if I hated it.
Yeah.
Actually, I hope my sister-in-law doesn't listen to this, but she likes to make the really sweet potatoes, like with all of the marshmallows and stuff. And one year she did one with bananas in it,
Oh,
and I was
gosh.
like, no,
out.
I'm sorry, I'm not even going to try it. Like, literally nobody touched it. But I don't like the overly sweet potatoes. I love sweet potatoes, but I don't think they need sugar added to them.
No.
So we don't do that. But I have a sister-in-law that does
I
sometimes.
do
bring
like
that.
marshmallows on top, though. The
Do
little
you?
tiny ones.
My great grandma used to do like Jello with shaved carrots in it, and I'm like, who hurt you? Why would you ever eat that?
That's really old
I
fashioned.
remember seeing that somewhere along the way. Yeah. I just don't make the things that I don't like. Like our go-tos, obviously turkey. We usually do stuffing. I usually do a turkey and a ham. That way everybody's happy. But I love stuffing. I'll usually like make my own from either cornbread. Usually I'll do half cornbread and half sourdough, and
That's
like
how I make mine, too.
do sausage and all the good things in it. And then we do this Jello pretzel salad situation that doesn't actually have Jello. I just make my own from like real fruit, and then it has like a cheesecake thing and pretzel crust. And then we do usually green bean casserole. I love green bean
The French
casserole.
onions on top.
Oh,
Yeah, but I make everything from scratch. There's no cans of crap in it, and so it's actually pretty legit with fresh green beans and stuff. And then mashed potatoes, and like that's that, and then a bunch of desserts. That's kind of our standby, and rolls.
Yeah.
So I grew up in the South, and we had some weird things.
All right, let's hear it.
So my stepdad, who didn't grow up in the South, like rutabagas.
Oh,
He was the only one that ate them.
What the hell is that?
I figured this was going to be your question.
Never
root
heard that
vegetable.
a single time.
It's pretty sourish, but it's like a parsnip type thing.
Huh.
And then my mom always used to serve oyster pie. Britt's face.
never had that. My grandma
gotta
used to
go.
put oysters in her stuffing.
So it's basically like oysters with saltine crackers on top, and it's like mushy inside. And I actually like it.
One of my girlfriends was just saying that her husband's family tradition was to have like saltine crackers with Cheese Whiz and canned oysters. And as kids, that was like their favorite holiday snack.
I could get behind that.
I
I
don't
love
know.
oysters,
I
but
don't
I
know.
don't know about with Cheese Whiz.
We used to leave smoked oysters and Coors Light for Santa at my house.
Oh, wow.
True story.
Iconic.
I have smoked octopus in my pantry, but it came from some chefs that were here, some celebrity chefs for a fundraiser that stayed in our Airbnb.
Oh, gotcha.
Well, I feel like outside of just food traditions, the holidays, whether we're talking Thanksgiving, Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever it is that you're celebrating, can be heavy in a few different ways where maybe you're not a good cook, or maybe you just have never made any of these things before, and all of a sudden there's pressure to serve your entire family this, meal. And I know for me, when I was hosting my first Thanksgiving when I wasn't with my family, I was terrified, and I'm like, I don't even know how to cook 6 dishes at once. Like, how does one go about doing that? And so something that helped me was I just picked 2 things and was like, we're not doing the whole meal. We're just going to do these couple of things. And then we invited some friends, and I asked them to bring 2 things, and it was awesome. I didn't get totally stressed out. We got to experience their version of whatever the dish was that I gave them. And so don't be afraid to share the responsibility. There's this like thing ingrained in being a woman where like in the 1920s you were expected to cook every single dish yourself, and they were all supposed to be perfect, and you were expected to be in the kitchen all day long on Thanksgiving. And like, it's okay to not do that. It's okay to just make a normal meal and get help with all of the rest of the people that are there. And then I vote you make the men do the dishes, or make whoever didn't cook do the dishes.
I agree. Well, you're right. I think there is a lot of pressure, and even just like, I'm a pretty experienced cook, and I think I'm a pretty decent cook, but I do get nervous about cooking the turkey or cooking the prime rib because, well, for a prime rib, that's like a $200 chunk of meat. And if I screw it up, like that sucks.
Everybody's hungry anyway.
Yeah, and everybody's so excited for it. And personally, I don't love prime rib. I think it doesn't have a lot of flavor. I'm like, just give me a
Oh,
regular
it
ribeye
can.
steak
Oh, it
all day
can
long.
have.
But anyway, so I do, it's, I guess the point, to your point, if making the prime rib scares you, have somebody in your family that's really good at it. Ask them to do that, or ask them for their recipe or their tips, or scratch it and do something else. Like, my dad and I, like, sometimes he'll do whatever the Albertsons like prepackaged Thanksgiving thing is for us, which is not my favorite. I do not like it when we do that. But I could eat literally crackers and cheese, like charcuterie board style situation, and just kind of graze all day and drink some wine. Like, that would be my ideal Thanksgiving.
Yeah. We did that on Christmas a couple of years ago, where we were all kind of just burnt out with life. And so we were like, can we just do snacks all day? And at the end of the day, we were like, we're doing that every year.
Yeah. I think it's fun to shake it up. And sometimes that's how new traditions are born. We started doing king crab legs, which I think there's a huge shortage of them this year, so we probably won't. But we usually do that on Christmas because you can get them at Costco for a pretty decent price. And they're so good. And it's so fun. And all the kids like can go through and eat all this crab. And it's just not, we don't usually get king crab in Montana. So it's
We
kind
can
of
do
a
an
fun thing.
episode on that sometime, because I love seafood with a passion, and it's really sad to me right now how our oceans are overfished.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing that we did for New Year's a couple years, actually, we've done this a lot of times for New Year's. We call it dinner, but it's like a low country boil. And so you do shrimp and potatoes and corn and like andouille sausage. And I usually put some little snow crab legs in there, and it all goes in this big pot. And you kind of like the potatoes go in first. You figure out what needs to cook at different times, but you put like a seasoning bag in there with it. And then you just put tablecloths on the table, you dump it all out, and then you have drawn butter and you have sourdough bread, and everybody just kind of eats with their hands and they shell the shrimp, and it's
Girl,
all it's
I
like
grew up with that.
exactly. I was going to say, I know Courtney, you're looking at me like you've never heard of this, but I'm like, I know Courtney knows about this. So that's
I've literally watched videos on YouTube of what this is, but because that is like my
So good.
ideal way to eat. Yeah, I love
Well,
that.
if you ever go to Charleston, I can tell you which restaurants to go to that do that. It's literally a picnic table with a hole in the middle that's got a bucket under it, and you just dump all the shells in
What?
there.
Fun. Oh, I want to do that so badly.
Yeah.
It's so delicious, and everybody likes it. Everybody can find things that they like out of it, and everything kind of absorbs all the flavors, and
Yeah.
it's pretty legit.
So what do people do that don't cook for Thanksgiving?
I think that there are a lot of options. Like if you still want to get a nice home cooked Thanksgiving meal, there's a company in town. There's several companies in town that will make a Thanksgiving meal, and you can get kind of a grab and go meal to take home where you can just pop it in the oven and still have a nice Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah, Orders Up has
Yeah.
something that they do, and their food is amazing. I think a lot of big cities have restaurants open.
Yeah.
Like when I was looking in Scottsdale, there was tons of options to go for like a very nice meal on Thanksgiving. But you get into some of the smaller towns, and I think it's harder to get them staffed or whatever. So
Yeah.
I think it depends where you're at.
So at the top of the episode, we mentioned, what happens when you go to your grandparents' house with your whole family and Grandpa Bob starts talking politics, and it's going to start a fight because you all don't agree. This is something that I think is very common these days. The political environment that we're living in, it feels like you have to be far on one spectrum or far on the other, and it's a lot harder to just have conversations about it.
Yeah, and if you're not one or the other, they assume you're the other one.
Exactly. So what I have done with my family, my dad and I are on opposite sides of the political spectrum. And so when it was election time, I was going home. I don't even remember what was going on, but I was going home to visit. And I basically said, we can't talk politics because we aren't going to be able to have a decent conversation. We're both just going to get mad. And so like, I'm setting that boundary before I come. Just know that if politics come up, I'm going to leave. Like I will leave the room. I will not be part of that conversation. And they kind of teased me about it, but I was dead serious. And when I got there and my dad started to talk about politics, I got up and left the room, and he came in and apologized. And he was like, I guess I didn't realize how serious you were. And then we didn't bring it up again. So I do think that boundaries ahead of time are very important. Or maybe you don't have the relationship where you're having those conversations ahead of time. I do think it's really okay to say, I love you. I'm not getting into politics today. Or like, let's keep the vibe relaxed. I don't want to get into this. Tell me what you've been up to instead, and just redirect the conversation. And hopefully the person that you're talking to can respect that.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, my sister and I also are very opposite politically. Although we had it out one time, and we really like hashed it and sat down, and we figured out that we both believe in the exact same things. We just think that how you get there is different. Mm-hmm. And so once I have had that understanding, it made me feel better. Like maybe we aren't as opposite. Like I still think she's a little bit crazy about how she thinks we're going to accomplish some of these things, and she thinks the same thing about me. And it gets heated really fast. And so we just know like it's off limits for us. We just can't do it. It has too many hard feelings. There's still some hard feelings in my family around COVID and masks and vaccines and all of the things, because we were kind of divided on all of those things. And we have to be pretty careful not to talk about some of that stuff. And it is what it is, I guess.
I miss having the conversations with my stepfather, who was retired from the Navy. And he would bring up different things, and I'd say, well, let me research that, and I'll get back to you on what the truth is behind whatever that item is. And I don't have that type of discussion with anybody anymore. I used to be able to do that with friends also. And everybody's kind of gone into very segmented political views. But
I do think that specifically the older generation, when they bring up politics, they're looking for connection. Like when I think about my grandparents, they're not on the internet and on social media like we are. And so they aren't getting inundated with all of these things like we are. And, like maybe they're watching Fox News or whatever news channel it is, and they're getting their information from that. But I genuinely think that at least some people are leading the conversation from the right place, where they're genuinely trying to have connections, or maybe they're just bored, and you don't owe your political stance to that conversation. Feel free to acknowledge, ask them questions, be curious, why do you feel that way? Why do you want to know more about that? Take Courtney's approach, like, well, let me research that. I'll provide you some more information on that. But you could also just say, it's interesting that you feel so strongly about that. I'm taking a break from political debates right now. Did you watch the football game last week? Just calmly pivot the conversation to
I
a
like
different
your
topic.
idea of just asking questions too, because that way they don't have a clue what you think.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I tend to do. Like, I'm always fascinated why people think the way that they do. I genuinely want to know why
Same.
people believe things. But I think you have to know your audience on that, because there are some people that it's just you're gonna poke the bear and you're gonna end up in a whole big thing. And you have to know yourself. Like, if you can't stay out of a political debate by doing that, don't ask the questions. But if you genuinely are curious, like, you might learn some shit.
Yeah.
In my family, I think one of our holiday traditions has always been playing cards or playing games after dinner. And I think that helps keep some of those conversations at bay, because you're involved in a card game and it gives you
You're
a way
mentally
to
engaged
you're
in something
engaged
else,
in that, gives you some way. Like, you can have some idle chit chat here and there, but you're probably not going to get into some great debate in the middle of playing pinochle.
Yeah.
We got my mom this
I love that.
book last year for her to answer questions about her childhood and her life and different parts of her life. So we got to know things while she's here. And so it's fun to ask her all those questions that go on to these long stories that I had no idea
That's
anything
beautiful.
about.
I love that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I've been getting ads for that. And I feel like I know my mom extremely well. And I guarantee if I asked her those questions, I would learn a bunch about her that I don't know.
Yeah, and there's things that you would be shocked that my mom liked.
That's so fun.
She's a very prim and proper Southern lady, and she loved monster truck shows.
That's very Southern.
she
I love monster trucks. Like, that's great. That's redneck AF.
But my mom was not redneck at all. That's what was so funny
I can
about
tell.
it.
That's funny. Good for her.
Yeah.
I'm glad that she acknowledged that she actually loved that.
Something that I love about getting together with your family is life moves so fast. And, whether you're getting together for a Friendsgiving or with family, or maybe you're just starting your own tradition and it's just you. And I think what's really special is it reminds you to slow down and just like appreciate being in the here and now a little bit. And you get to, make a fun meal or open presents together or light the candles together or, get the advent calendar together. And it really encourages togetherness and spending time with people the way that it really matters, where I don't think anybody thinks that Christmas is about the presents. It's about the presents, ENCE, not ENTS, where like, who are you spending your time with and how are you spending that time? And it can be really easy to forget those things when it's like, okay, we have to make the meal and we have to buy the presents and we have to go to this house and then we're going to that house. And I just really encourage everyone to remember the why. Why is all of this important in the first place?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I think two different things on that. That one, figure out what does serve you. I remember when I was first out of college, I really felt like I had to do all the same traditions that my mom always did and like some of the same decorations and things even. And it was like, I actually don't have to do that at all. I can decorate my house exactly how I want or not. I can make whatever food I want or not. Like, we can choose our own traditions. We have a Montana State Bobcats Christmas tree. We decorated in blue and gold ornaments and it has a football helmet on the top. Like, that's our family tradition and we love it. And, we do advent calendars for our dogs, and we love that. It's like a whole thing that they get to open their thing and they're all excited for their treats,
Where do
and
you
so-
find those?
Amazon.
That's so cute.
So just little things like that. My family loves advent calendars. So we're always
same.
trying to come up with like, what is the perfect advent calendar for this person? And, find your own traditions and honor those. But you also talked about going to different places. And I think that can be a really challenging one, especially where like my parents were divorced when I was 3. And so it was like, where are we going to spend this holiday? And then once I got married, now it's like, whose turn is it? And are we going to Josh's families or mine? And I always just want to host it because I want to control what's happening. But it can be a real challenge to try to figure out, and how are you going to make everybody happy? And you can't, I think, is the real answer. And you just have to decide what serves you. That being said, also, you have to remember that some of those relatives aren't going to be around forever. Some of those grandmas and grandpas, and maybe it's not, none of us are promised tomorrow. So take
None
the
of us
opportunity.
are going to be around forever.
Right. Take the opportunity to spend the time with the people that you really do want to see.
We drove 4 days to get to South Carolina last Thanksgiving. So my mom had family there, and she didn't remember this year that we'd come.
Oh, wow.
She thought we were at my sister's house, and I was like, ugh.
Well, you know what? That's actually a really good point, Courtney, because I think when you look back, does anybody really remember if your turkey was perfect last year? Does anybody remember if you got the absolute perfect gift, if your house looked perfect, even if your house was clean? I mean, I had a step grandma one time whose house, like, there was dog shit everywhere. I have lots of memories of that as a kid. Don't get me wrong. But other than that, like, I could not tell you anything specific for the most part. It's the things that people obsess about are not the memorable things anyway. It's usually you kind of remember how you feel. Like if everybody was together and like you remember you had fun playing cards, but you don't remember who won.
Yeah.
So
Growing up, we used to always go to my great grandma's house, and my strongest memories are running around with my cousins and playing in my great grandma's jewelry box because she always wore clip-on earrings. She didn't have her ears
oh my
pierced.
gosh, we did that too.
I still
was
have them.
so fun. Yeah. So, I mean, those are my favorite memories, and that has nothing to do with the meal or the preparation or any of the stuff that went into it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think my big takeaway when reflecting on the holidays and what's important to me is just to remember that it doesn't have to feel like the emotional Hunger Games. Like, it can be so easy to just get sucked into feeling like you have to manage everybody's expectations and reactions and conversations and opinions and whatever it is, but it doesn't have to be that way. And I think if you just set yourself up for success ahead of time and go into it with the right mindset and focus on what really matters, make sure that you're creating moments of joy on purpose, whether that's going out for a walk or playing cards with your family, or maybe you recreate your great great grandma's dish that you haven't, none of you have ever made before, or just doing something intentional that you will remember, that will create a memory.
It'd be cool if there was a game kind of like that book with Asking My Mom Questions, where you could ask your other family members different questions to get to know everybody differently than you already do.
They do. I have a couple of games like that where it's basically just a deck of cards with questions. There's no the game is to ask the questions, but I think it would be fun if that was tied to something else. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go
Yeah,
ahead and
that's-
invent it.
Yeah, I was just going to say that's $1 million idea for somebody.
Yeah.
But another thing that we did last year is I gifted my in-laws a photo shoot. And so we got all of the kids together. My husband has a big family, and most of his brothers have, one of his brothers has 6 kids, another one has 5 kids. And so trying to get all of us together for one photo shoot, we were like, we have 2 days in the entire year. We can make this happen. But we did it. And we did it with his grandma, who's just about to turn 85. And so that we will always remember that and kind of the fun. And we had hot chocolate and we had a fire, and, it was just a fun memory. And then being able to then gift those photo albums to everybody. Photos are something that can last forever. And I'm terrible about remembering to actually take the pictures on the holidays. So sometimes, just having a photographer scheduled for another time to remember those people that maybe won't be around forever.
Yeah,
That's
that's
an
a great
amazing
idea.
idea. I love that.
And sometimes, and I guess that's the point, your traditions don't always have to be exactly on Christmas. Like growing up in a divorced family, my dad and I never spent actual Christmas together. We did our own Christmas whenever the hell we got together. And so you can make those traditions. And sometimes it's the buildup even. So one of my family's very favorite things is we do the angel trees. So that's, they have trees at the high school and all the schools that have wish lists for the kids who don't have a lot or their parents maybe can't afford to give them a good Christmas. And so they'll just write, their size and their favorite color and what they're into. And then we just go and we get a whole bunch of these tags and we go shop for them. And it's like a production. Like we spend thousands of dollars and shop for dozens sometimes of kids. And it is so much fun. And my whole family gets into it and we absolutely love it. And like, I could almost not care about shopping for anybody else other than that. Like even when we did not have enough money to do that, I would ask my husband, like, hey, don't get me anything. I want to do this instead. Or one year we had a neighbor that was falling on really hard times. And I was like, please don't buy me anything. I want you to take whatever you would have spent on a present for me and go anonymously put it in their mailbox. Like, think about the things that really will matter to you. Like, I'll never forget that we did that. And that was probably 20 years ago, you know? So those little things, just thinking about those people that are less fortunate than you will make your whole heart kind of feel,
Warm
like the
and
Grinch,
fuzzy.
like the whole heart there, it grew 5 sizes or whatever it is, those are the kind of things that if you're kind of in a funk or you don't know and you want to start your own tradition, think about something like that. Maybe it's volunteering.
Yep.
It's a season of giving. I love that. I mean, it is fun to think about different ways that you can give, whether it's you go volunteer at your soup kitchen or you get an angel tree, or, I mean, I know that pretty much every city does a different version of that where you can purchase school supplies for somebody in need or whatever it is. But I would definitely encourage people to figure out how you can give a gift to somebody else. And that does not have to be something that you go shopping for. There are plenty of gifts that you can give with effort and intention. And I think we're probably just going to do a second episode on that because there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot of creative ideas.
This is our mini episode.
Yeah.
But you could even go to one of the senior centers. Like there's a lot of people that are alone for the holidays there, and go hang out, play cards with them, do a puzzle with them, just listen. And they may or may not remember it 2 days later, but you made their time feel special and you feel pretty good about it. If you got a cute dog, you could take them in there and they could love on them. There's a million ways you can give back if you don't have a lot of money. And by the way, like, you could do an angel tree and go pick one ornament and go spend $50 and get some things that would make another person's
we're delivering the
really special.
Can the Grizz stuff tomorrow. We've got an angel tree in our office and we're doing a coat drive.
Awesome.
Love that.
Yeah.
I do your note on the senior center too. I actually, a few years ago, I was out of town for the holidays and I had a friend that had recently moved here and really didn't have anybody and was worried about spending the holidays alone and didn't want to be depressed or sad, and ended up going to a local senior center and doing exactly that, just playing games and getting to know them. And he, to this day, still goes back every week because he made a couple of friends, like people that became mentors, and he wanted to learn more about them. And it ended up being one of the best holidays that he's ever had because he said that he felt like he was doing something that mattered. So that can be a really good way. If maybe you don't have family or you don't have somebody to spend the holiday with, you can go find ways to not be alone and have a really great day still.
Yeah, the hardest part is getting yourself out of the funk to take that initiative to go. Mm-hmm. But just know that you'll be appreciated on the other end.
Yeah. Well, we're going to go ahead and leave you with that and tune in for our next episode if you're looking for some creative gifts to give, especially with health insurance costs rising and the world being in the state that it's in. I think everybody's trying to pinch pennies where they can. So if you want to give an awesome gift and not have to spend a ton of money, stay tuned. Here's to empowering each other, one story at a time.